Hey everyone, my name's Justin, though you might know me online as Gravisword, and welcome to Being Retro. Welcome everyone to part 2 of the Tandy story. Now if you haven't checked out part 1, I will pop up a link at the end of the video so that you can check it out when you get a chance. So now, where were we? Oh yes. By the early 1980s, the industry was changing. IBM had just entered the market in 1981, and their PC and its growing army of compatibles were fast becoming the standard. Tandy's proprietary TRS-80 line, which we discussed in the previous video, couldn't keep up with the tidal wave of IBM-based software. Tandy saw the writing on the wall and knew it needed to move into the IBM-compatible world, and fast. Enter the Tandy 2000. Now this is one of Tandy's more unique computers, and since it was its first foray into the IBM-compatible world, it ran MS-DOS, and on paper it was marketed as a high-performance alternative to the IBM PC. But under the hood, it was a different beast. Now first, the processor. The Tandy 2000 used Intel's 8186 CPU. It was faster and included built-in features that the IBM PC's 8088 just didn't have. But those extra features created a problem. Many programs of the time accessed hardware directly, and then since their hardware was different, that broke compatibility. Then there was the BIOS. Well, it could run MS-DOS, and its BIOS wasn't IBM compatible, and thus the hardware itself strayed far from IBM's architecture. That meant any software written to expect IBM's exact setup often wouldn't run. Now even expansion was proprietary. The Tandy 2000 slots couldn't accept standard IBM PC cards. And although it had some technical advantages such as better graphics, higher capacity floppy drives, those upgrades didn't match IBM standards, which again meant trouble for software compatibility. In the end, the market moved towards strict IBM compatibility. The Tandy 2000's unique architecture became more of a liability than a selling point. It saw limited success and was eventually replaced. Enter the Tandy 2000, launched in late 1984. The Tandy 2000 was IBM compatible, but with enhancements borrowed or inspired, depending on your point of view, from the IBM PC Junior, with better graphics and 3-voice sound while still running IBM PC software. Best of all, it came at a competitive price. Bundled with Tandy's DeskMate software suite, the Tandy 1000 series became a mainstay of home computing in the US, particularly for families in small offices who could pick one up on a Saturday afternoon shopping trip. Now for many, the Tandy 1000 wasn't just their first IBM compatible, it was their first computer. And thanks to exclusive support in many PC games, Tandy graphics and sound became a badge of quality in the 80s. Now, let's spend a little bit more time on the various computer lines and platforms released by Tandy in their PC lineup. Now, 1984. IBM launched the PC Junior earlier in the year, but then the market wasn't impressed. Now Tandy, with Radio Shack's tech powerhouse backing them, had a new idea. What was the result? The Tandy 1000 computer would become Tandy's most successful line, largely IBM compatible, with each variant typically introducing enhancements in CPU, memory, form factors, or system design to meet the ever-evolving user needs, swiftly becoming a hit across homes in America. It offered stronger compatibility than PC Junior. It offered a full-size keyboard and real expandability through its ISA slots. Now it was priced at around $1,200. It became a top seller very quickly, winning over home users and businesses alike. Now under the hood, the original Tandy 1000 ran an Intel 88 at about 4.77 MHz. It had 128 kilobytes of RAM, standard, but expandable to the full 640K. Famous last words, who needs more than 640K, right? But it had a secret weapon. In my opinion, its secret weapon was the Tandy Video Graphics Controller, also called the Tandy Graphics Stopper, or TGA. It offered standard CGA modes, plus enhanced color modes that outshined the PC Junior. And the sound, pure retro charm. The Tandy 1000's 3-voice, 4-channel sound chip, the SN76496, later revised to use the NCR8496, and eventually the PSSJ-3 for audio and its DAC, gave life to games and software. 3 programmable square wave tone channels, 1 noise generator for effects like percussion, all mixed into a single mono output. Now the tone generation relied on that precise external clock at about 3.579 megahertz, the NTSC color burst clock. Now, quick aside, what is that? Well, in short, it's a synchronized timing signal taken from the color burst in composite video. It ensures your TV or monitor knows exactly how to decode color, and without it, hues and saturation would drift, and your crisp red might turn to a muddy brown. Now, the tone generators also include a 10-bit divider value, register control, resulting in a very flexible tone generation ranging from 108 Hz all the way up to around 110 kHz. Now, the noise generator could produce both periodic and white noise, perfect for everything from drum effects to explosions. Now, the frequency wasn't fixed. It could be set using built-in dividers, splitting the master clock between 64, 128, or 256, or even linked directly to the frequency of the tone channel. Now, under the hood, it relied on a 15-bit linear feedback shift register, a clever way to generate pseudo-random patterns without extra memory. Now, each channel had its own 4-bit attenuation volume setting, offering 16 discrete levels from full volume down to complete silence, giving programmers fine, for the day, control over sound dynamics. Now, all 4 channels were combined into a single audio output pin. In some versions, they also had an extra audio in pin, which allowed an external source to be mixed right into the same output, expanding the creative possibilities. Now, the Tandy 1000 always came ready for action with the integrated video, audio, serial parallel ports, plus joystick connectors. This was incredibly smart and effective, as it made the machine, in my opinion, gaming ready, which many users might have been familiar with if they were coming from the microcomputer space, from the likes of Commodore and Atari computers. Now, couple that with being bundled with MS-DOS and Tandy Decimate Productivity Suite, it was a complete package offering users and their uses and enjoyment from the whole family, as well as further instilling the concept of value and ready to use out of the box. Now, the other benefit, which might not immediately come to mind, is that this also freed up the included ISA slots for other and more expansion boards, since those integrated functions were not on separate cards like they were on other machines back in that day. Now, over the next decade, Tandy released well over a dozen variants of the 1000. You had the 1000A, the 1000 HD, which added storage up to 20 megabyte hard drive. You had 1000 SX, which boosted RAM to 384 kilobyte. It added a DMA functionality, added volume control, and a turbo mode, which brought it up to could give it a boost to 8 megahertz. You had the 1000 TX, which by default had an 8 megahertz 286 CPU, but it was still on an 8-bit bus. So not quite as effective as other 286s at the time. You had compact all-in-one models like the EX and the HX, which I have, to help save space. And again, kind of a nod to the microcomputers of the day, which had the same or similar form factors. Now the HX even had DOS in ROM for instant booting. Now, later models such as the SL, the TL, and the RL series packed in EGA and VGA graphics, DAC audio, and CMOS setting storage. By the early 90s, the RSX model was running on a 386SX with Super VGA graphics. Effectively, the Tandy 1000 line evolved alongside its users, adapting to changing technology while keeping that unmistakable Tandy identity. The Tandy 1000 still remains as one of the most beloved home PCs of the 1980s. Now, in 1986, Radio Shack introduced the Tandy 3000, which was a major leap forward for the company. This wasn't just another PC from Tandy. It was a full-fledged IBM PCAT clone built around the Intel 286 processor, and for the time, free of the proprietary features that was its hallmark of the early Tandy systems. It embraced industry-standard components, offered excellent expandability, and appealed to both business professionals and hobbyists looking for serious performance. The 3000 initially shipped with an 8 MHz 286, later offered a faster 12 MHz version with a switch to drop back to the 6 MHz, again turbo functionality, for maximum compatibility with older software. Onboard memory ranged from 512 kilobytes to a full 640K limit of DOS, but with expansion cards, it could grow to 12 megabytes. Later versions even supported up to 16 megabytes. Now, for expansion, the Tandy 3000 featured 7 16-bit AT-compatible slots, 2 8-bit XT-compatible slots, and a half-side XT slot dedicated to serial and parallel ports. That gave users 6 open expansion slots, one more than IBM's own AT. Now, like IBM's AT, the 3000 came with a 1.2 megabyte 5.25 inch floppy drive. Hard drive options included 20 or 35 megabytes, but it also was fully compatible with third-party drives, something that wasn't always true of earlier Tandy models. Importantly, the 3000 was built without proprietary hardware. No onboard video or disk controller to lock you into Tandy-specific parts. It worked with the standard IBM PC video cards, whether CGA, EGA, VGA, or Hercules graphics. Now, the original Tandy 3000 was available from late 1985 into 1986. It sold between $2,600 and $3,600, depending on which configuration you went with. Now, for budget buyers, the mid-1986 Tandy 3000 HL trimmed the price to around $1,700. Now, it kept the 8 MHz 286 CPU, it offered CGA video, it had the same 7 ISA slots, and similar storage and monitor options. Now, with the Tandy 3000, the company proved it could compete head-on with IBM, not by reinventing the wheel, but by building a strong, reliable, and fully compatible machine that fit right into the growing world of PC standards. The PC market was brutal, though. By the early 1990s, prices were falling, clone makers were multiplying, and profit margins were razor thin. On May 27, 1993, Tandy Corporation sold its entire computer manufacturing business to AST Research in a deal worth up to $175 million. AST got the factories, both in Texas and Scotland, and the grid portable division. Tandy got out of the hardware grind and decided to refocus on retail. And I guess you could say that while Tandy was able to compete with IBM, it, like many other companies, couldn't compete against the rise of the clones, which was just a byproduct of the lack of innovation and features that could have differentiated themselves in the marketplace. I would definitely call that a very sharp double-edged sword indeed. Now, for the rest of the 1990s, Tandy was a retailer, not a manufacturer. The corporation shed that side of the business, tightened its brand, and in May 2000 officially changed its name from Tandy Corporation to Radio Shack Corporation. Yes, back to Radio Shack. The leather and early electronics heritage faded into history, but for millions, the TRS-80 and the Tandy 1000 remain fond memories of the day their first computer came home in a cardboard box with a Radio Shack logo. From leather scraps to microchips from Fort Worth to living rooms across America, Tandy's story is a reminder. In technology, the boldest leaps sometimes come from the unlikeliest places. Now, finally, before I forget, I will be doing dedicated PC Junior and Commodore PC reviews similar to this one, as well as comparative videos between the lines of the 1000 lineup. I'm also looking to interview key folks from Tandy, from IBM, and from Commodore to get their insight into all aspects of why they made those products. What information did they consider in order to make the choices they made, and what possible changes they would like, in hindsight, to make that could have changed the history. Now, before we go, let's check out some Tandy games in action. hope you would agree that for the time, the Tandy 1000 platform was very viable and delivered a premium game experience, especially compared to its contemporaries of the day. Now, as always, thank you for watching. Please click like if you liked it, subscribe if you really liked it, and that notification bell, as it not only helps the channel out, but keeps you informed on all the new content that I will be posting. This is Gravis Lord saying goodbye and stay retro.